everyone, it's Ellen. I'm from Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet. We're live on Fridays to tell you what's new, what's happening at the store, but what's also happening out in nature. So let's get to it. First off, I want to ask you, what kind of birds are visiting your feeders right now? I'd love to hear it, so put your answer in the comments. It's also a reminder is there's a comment that I have posted here in the chat asking the same question. What are you seeing most at your feeders right now? At my feeders and here at the store, we're seeing a lot of chickadees, a lot of nuthatches, a lot of woodpecker action. Is that the same for you? We'd love to hear, so let us know in the comments. So we have quite a lineup tonight, and I'm really excited to share some of these tips and tricks with you. The big thing that we're talking about for Hobby Focus is we're talking about how to prepare our yards for winter. And I know it sounds crazy because of how warm tomorrow is going to be, and it seems like the warm weather will just never go away, but eventually it's going to, and we want you to be prepared now versus waiting until it's already cold or we don't want to be outside. So let's take advantage of it now and get prepped. So we'll talk about some important steps such as feeder cleaning and winterizing bird houses. So we'll talk about those two things right at the end here. First, I want to talk about our events because we have a couple of cool, awesome events happening, including one tomorrow, October 4th from 10 to 3 p.m. We're going to be doing our feeder cleaning event. So if you haven't heard on how that works, how that looks like, is essentially you bring in your bird feeders. And it could be not just bird feeders, it could be the domes, it could be tray feeders, it could be pretty much anything, any of those accessories for feeding, bird feeder cleaning accessories, all those parts for your feeder, you bring them in and we clean them up for you. And we are partnering with our Will County Audubon Society, so that's really exciting. We asked a small suggested donation of $3 per feeder, and that all goes donated to the Will County Audubon to help with their programs and their other conservation efforts that they do. So it's a really great way to prepare for winter because clean feeders during migration is a really big important part, but it just preps you up for winter, and it keeps our local flock healthy and happy. So that is the big one there. We also, coming up the following weekend, that's October 11th, we have a special in-store presentation. Hey Valerie, great to see ya. How exciting. Valerie had a really cool sighting at her feeders. Well, she's been having a really cool sightings at her feeders in the evening. I know, right? In the evening, she's been having a flying squirrel come visit her. So that's really cool. Maybe later, if she allows me to, we'll share the photo so you can kind of see what that looks like from her perspective. It's kind of cool. But on October 11th, that's not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, we have an in-store presentation on monarch butterflies, the ecology, migration, and conservation of the monarch butterflies. This is a really great presentation. It is going to be presented by Andrew from Good Stewart Ecoscapes, but it's going to kind of give you the overview, everything you need to know about monarch butterflies, how they migrate, and that incredible journey that they make, and how we can help with conservation. So it's not always everyone else's deal. It starts right with us. So great presentation to come by for. I highly recommend to call the store to reserve a seat if you want to participate in that. On October 18th, we have two events going on. One is in partnership with our Will County Audubon Society. They are doing a really cool in-store workshop, and it's not really in-store. It's actually going to be mostly outside because it's all about bird photography. The program is called Bird Photography at Your Feeders. So we're going to use the feeders outside the store and give you tips and tricks and use some practice with your own feeder. So really great opportunity to learn how to do bird photography. If you have a camera, even if it's a camera phone, you bring it by and they'll give you some tips and tricks and all of that. That is from 8 to 10 a.m. So just call the store to register, and you can take part of that. It's totally free. It's just a community event to help help you enjoy your bird watching even more. Yes, very good, Valerie. Thank you so much. Our monarchs totally appreciate you and all of the work that you're doing to help conserve them. Then also on the 18th, later in the afternoon or early afternoon, I'm presenting at 11 o'clock on squirrels, feed them or defeat them. So we're going to talk everything about all the squirrels, including our flying squirrels. And we'll also talk about some other of the things that go into whether you're totally trying to defeat them or you're a squirrel lover and want to feed them, or maybe you're a combination of both, right? We're going to talk about all of that in that presentation. Again, I recommend that you call the store to reserve your seat and just make sure that you got one saved for you if you want to come in and participate in that. We do have some new items that have come in, and it's follow. We have some new follow animals that have made their debut in the store. So we have the cheetah that's now in, and it comes in 3 awesome colors. Check that gray one out. That's my mom's favorite, but I also really love this color. It's called Kalahari, and it kind of has like the texture on it is really cool, and it just has kind of like this rustic desert-like texture and look to it. Love that one. But it also comes in a really cool green color too. But this one also, we have a new red panda as a new animal, and it also comes in 3 awesome colors. Comes in that cool green color called bamboo. It comes in Himalaya stone, which is also a really fabulous color combination. I just like that kind of pretty multicolored stone. And then lava stone too. Lava stone is in a couple different animals, but I think it looks really cool in this one too. My kids love red pandas, so I think it's really cool that they have a new red panda. But that's it for new items that have come in this week, but know that, as we get closer to the holidays, more and more is coming in, so that's always a really great thing. And I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about another cool fundraiser promotion that we have got going on here at the store, but it's online, and it's in support of the Will County Forest Preserve District, and it's also in partnership with kind of like the Nature Foundation of Will County, because all the t-shirt sales from the Forest Preserve of Will County, the sales that come from this go to support the Nature Foundation, and the Nature Foundation supports all of the education and events that the Forest Preserve does. So if you would like to help, you can kind of take advantage of this really cool deal where you get 15% off anything that you order. Now there are a couple, like 2 promotions that they have going concurrent with this. One is it's like 20% off of $50 or more and 25% off of $100 or more. Now, let's say that you go on there and you're initially thinking you're only going to purchase 1 t-shirt, but then you find out that it's actually really awesome. If you actually qualify for either the $50 threshold or $100 threshold, your 15% will actually get bumped, and you'll move up to 20 or 25% depending on what you spend. You use promo code WildBirds15 at checkout, and that'll give you that 15% off to start off, no matter what you order. But if you decide to order more, there's some awesome shirts, right? Awesome shirts there. This is one of them. That's why I pointed at this. It's one of my favorite ones. But they also have some really cool ones, like the Bird Nerd one. They have a couple other really cool, super awesome shirts that are great for gift giving or just for personal use. So take advantage of that while you're here. If you come by the store tomorrow or during the week for our feeder cleaning or to take advantage of our bird food sale, which I'll talk about here shortly, make sure you come by and grab one of these so you don't forget. You could take advantage of it. There is no expiration on this. So it's just going to go until it goes, all right? So take advantage of it. Order some really cool shirts and merch from the Forest Preserve District of Will County and support all the work that they do to help conserve the wildlife and educate our community, and just being awesome preserves that we can utilize and take advantage whenever we like. So take advantage of it, all right? So on to the next thing. Before I do, I want you to give me a thumbs up in the comments if you enjoy saving on your favorite bird food products. Let me see in the comments your thumbs up, and that'll let me know that you love saving on your bird food, because we are in October, and October is our October bird food sale. So how it works is all of our bird food, from seed to seed cylinders, suet, even nectar, is all on sale, 15% off for everyone. Now, if you're a Daily Savings Club member, you get extra perks. And I'll talk about those extra perks here in a second, but just letting you know that from the 1st through the 15th, all of our bird food is on sale for everyone, 15% off. Now, if you are a Daily Savings Club member, you get extra perks. So you get to save not only the 15% like you do every day, but you get an additional 5% on all those sale prices through the end of the month. DSC extended sale, here we come, right? So that starts on the 16th, right after the general sale ends for everyone else. So you guys get, as members, you get special perks like an extended sale, like the additional savings off of those sale prices. So it's a really great benefit. Now, this sale is not only in store, it's online too. So if you want to place an online order, you can go ahead and do that and receive those perks, whether it's your 15 plus your additional 5%. You get all those discounts just for shopping online with us during the month of October. All right. So let's get to it, how to prepare our yards for winter. Now, I have a couple things here. I have a table that I'm going to show you the steps for feeder cleaning, because we know in fall we have a couple things going on, right? We have migration. So birds are leaving town, but they're also coming into town. And we want to make sure that the feeders, the banquet table that we're inviting them to come, is going to be healthy and a happy experience for them. During migration, there are a lot of birds passing through our area, which means a lot more sometimes activity at our feeders, which sometimes can lead to a lot more sickness and illness. Just like when people congregate together, sometimes we like to share things like colds. And then none the same is for your birds. Same thing for your birds. So just know that when you're cleaning your feeders, and we recommend cleaning them at minimum once every 2 weeks, and more if you are actually physically seeing sick birds at your feeders. All right, so just be mindful that you should be cleaning them regularly. But of course, here at the store, we offer 2 times a year a feeder cleaning event that you can take advantage of. Because I know that it's not always easy to clean feeders at home, but at least we'll take all the dirty work out of your hands and do it for you right here at the store. So let's talk about feeder cleaning real quick. Got my table here. Move it over just so it's in the light of sight here. But so basically, things that you'll want to use, items that you want to provide while you're cleaning feeders is either a bucket or bin like I have here. This one I think is a small tote for like underneath a bed or something for clothes. It does not have the lid with them. We do have lids, but we don't use them for these. They are strictly used for feeder cleaning. And when we're doing this in large, like for our feeder cleaning events tomorrow, we actually use 3 per station, meaning there is 1 bin that has dish soap, Dawn dish soap we like to use, but any mild dish soap will work, and we fill this tub with hot water and the soap, okay? Then we'll have a second bin, and that bin has our bleach solution water. So again, has nice warm water, and it has with a bleach solution of 9 parts water, 1 part bleach in that water, and that's really our sanitation bath. Okay, and then the last bin that we have of our third bin is just plain water, and that's simply to rinse. Okay, and some other things that we want to do is we want to have gloves. Gloves are really important when we're feeder cleaning because, as you know, birds are wild, and wild animals sometimes carry bacteria or illnesses that we do not want to expose ourselves to. So be sure that you protect yourself and wear some gloves while you're cleaning. Another good option to use are some brushes. Now I brought a couple of brushes over here. I love this brush, and you guys all know I love this brush because I talk about it all the time, but I love how this one has that little angle because as you're getting into the feeders, especially seed tube feeders, sometimes you need something to really push up against the sides and get in some of the nooks and crannies where it's harder to get. And I love that this feeder, this brush here, has that little angled part on it, and it also has that straight edge. If you have a really long seed tube like we do here at the store, a long brush, feeder brush like this works perfect to get inside that tube feeder to get it all the way clean throughout. I also like a scrubber brush, and it could be as simple as your bird bath brush. That's really like this one to clean outsides of feeders, the roofs of hopper style feeders. I like to clean them, even trays. This is a great brush for trays, your domes, your weather guards. All of these are great to use with this because you don't necessarily need something like this to clean out, although you could, but I think this one has a little bit more surface area and makes the process a little bit easier and a little bit faster. Alternatively, if you have a dishwashing brush, one of those nice handled, larger surface brushes that you are using just for feeder cleaning, remember, you don't want to use that same brush that you're washing your dishes with and then bring it outside, clean your feeders with it, and then bring it back inside. That's a no-no, okay? So be sure if you are using a dish washing brush that it is totally for the use of feeder cleaning, okay? Or maybe it's an old one and you're gonna replace it. That's cool, but just remember you don't want to use anything that you're cleaning for your own food items, your own dishes, with your feeders. Now, while I use a bin like this, you could use a utility sink or your kitchen sink, but be mindful that, again, bacteria and things can spread, so be sure that you clean your entire area if you are doing this inside your home, like in your kitchen, okay? Be mindful. You can do it in one bucket, one bin, and do each of the steps in that one bin. That is totally okay, too. In fact, when I do this at the store, a lot of times I do it in just one bin, all right? Unless we're having that big feeder cleaning event, then it's just easier to start feeders, get them scrubbed, and kind of move them down an assembly line, if you will. All right, how to do it exactly. So let's say you have a tube feeder. So I love our tube feeders because they have that quick release bottom. The buttons on there make it really easy to take it off. And then you can open it up from the top and the bottom and have access to clean all the parts. Now, yes, the bottom part of this tube feeder you can clean, and it's all about taking off that diverter. So sometimes if you have a feeder that's kind of older or brand spanking new, sometimes that's a little tricky, but there are these side buttons right here that you push in, and it takes the diverter off. That way you can get in here and clean all of that. Now the bottom part up down here can come off too. I oftentimes need a flathead screwdriver to take this piece off. You stick it in one of these little openings here and just prop it off. It feels like it's gonna break, but trust me, it's not gonna break. And you pop that off, and then you can clean underneath this cover. Note that it is covering, this cover is covering your buttons and the springs that make it push in and out. So be mindful while you pop that off, sometimes springs can go a-flying. So be mindful of that for you, okay? But this is one reason why I really, really love our tube feeders, is because all the parts can come off and it makes it super, super easy to clean. It's one of the reasons why I love our feeders, and it makes it a great choice. Because not only do the birds love using our feeders, but it's easy for us to clean and use. All right. So whether you have a seed tube feeder or say a hopper feeder, right? Something like this. These feeders are also really easy to clean because all of them, while one side of our hopper feeders is screwed down, one of the sides, one is not, okay? And that's really easy to take off the plexiglass and have easy access to the inside, being able to scrub and clean it all out. If you wanted to clean and needed to take the other side of the plexiglass off, it's really simple. You just undo the screws at the top, and that will make this side of the hinge door top lid to be able to come free, and then you won't have to worry about, you can take out this side as well. But again, a super easy way to clean your feeders, because we know that when feeders are more easily able and accessible to clean, we as humans clean them more frequently. So it's kind of an important deal to make sure that we're cleaning our feeders regularly to keep our flock healthy and happy. All right, now when it comes to feeder cleaning, make sure step one is remove any debris, any extra seeds that might be clumped or stuck in here. Now sometimes it's as simple as just dumping out the old seed, the seed that's in here when we're going to clean. Sometimes it requires the use of a little brush like this. Make sure it's dry and not wet, and kind of sticking it in there and moving it around to loosen up any debris that is stuck to the side of your feeder. Okay? The second step on this is to clean, to wash, to scrub, right? So now we're going to do the first bin, that warm water with the Dawn dish soap. Make sure that you have all the parts of your feeder disassembled. Put them in there, get them nice and warm, nice and soaked, and then start scrubbing away. That's where this brush sometimes comes involved, because if you want that outside of that feeder, or say the outside of your hopper feeder like this, sometimes this part, the top, gets really caked with fecal matter and things like that. That's where something like this brush would come into play, right? Scrubbing that lid, making sure it's all sudsy, all soapy, getting everything scrubbed and cleaned. That is a big, big part of it, okay? This is where we're using these to clean the inside of that C2 feeder, making sure we get all the parts, but specifically taking extra care around the seed port, okay? Because this is where the seeds are coming in and out, and this is where your birds are having the most contact with the feeder. So if anything, this is the part where we want to take extra care about cleaning and making sure that we're scrubbing it down and getting any debris that might be stuck in that tube feeder or in any feeder, right? Then comes the soaking part, where I call the sanitation bath. So after all the parts of your feeder are scrubbed and washed down, now it's time to do a sanitation bath. Now I don't necessarily rinse it in between step 1 and step 2, because I feel it's kind of redundant. And so even if it's super sudsy, I still lay it in my bin with that 9 parts water and 1 part bleach solution, and I just let it sit. And if your bin or your bucket or your sink cannot get full enough to cover the entirety of your feeder, that's okay. All I do is I rotate it after it sits for a minute or two, then I rotate it again to make sure all parts of it are getting soaked with this bleach solution. That bleach solution is acting as a sanitizer. So it's really the best part of the feeder cleaning. Obviously the scrubbing is important too, but really we want to make sure with that bleach solution that if there is any harmful bacteria or diseases that are on your feeder, that we are making sure it's removed with this bleach solution. All right, now it's time to remove your feeder from that sanitation bath into the rinse off bath, right? So this is where you're taking that just plain water. It could be warm, it could be lukewarm, it could be even kind of cold at that point, but essentially all we're doing is we're rinsing it off, making sure there's no more suds, that all the bleach solution is completely wiped off of it, and that it's completely ready to start drying. It is especially important on the very last step of feeder cleaning that we allow our feeders to dry completely before refilling. Repeat that again. All right. Make sure your feeder is completely dry before refilling. Otherwise, you will have caked seed in parts where maybe you wouldn't have it normally just because it got soaked with water and now you're putting dry seed in there. All right, this is especially important if you use specifically no mess or Niger seed or sunflower chips, because all of those really like to cling to things and get really clumpy and kind of gross when it's in a wet seed tube or wet feeder, any kind of feeder, right? It doesn't matter if it's this kind or any kind. Make sure your feeder is dry before you refill it, okay? And then when you refill it, be sure that you're filling it with a high quality seed that's going to help them during this winter as they prepare for winter. Birds right now some of them are starting to molt again, like our goldfinches. You might start noticing some of that changing of color, and they are molting. Some of our birds are migrating, right? So they need a lot of energy. And some birds, like our chickadees, nuthatches, blue jays, and titmice, are caching seed, hiding food for later use. So it's really important that what we're providing out there is going to be not only nutritious, but also really constantly helpful in giving them everything they need this time of year, whether it's molting needs with high protein, high fat foods for high long journey traveling, or maybe it's just for caching food for later that they're really going to need when natural resources are super lean and hard to find. So make sure that you're filling it with a really great blend. I highly recommend No Mess Plus or Choice Plus or any Tree Nutty. Any of our No Mess blends are honestly really pretty good too, but something high in protein, high in fat this time of year always does really well. You guys have any questions? Let me know in the comments. Do you have any questions on feeder cleaning? It's a pretty easy task, but don't forget we have our feeder cleaning event tomorrow. So take the weekend off. Don't have to clean the feeders this time, but definitely come in the store, bring your feeders in, and we'll scrub them up for you with Will County Audubon. Okay? Let's talk now about preparing birdhouses for winter. The winterization of birdhouses. I'm going to move this table out of the way because I have another one right here that has all my supplies. All right. For this activity, we're going to need a couple things. Of course, you're going to need your birdhouse. Now, maybe it doesn't look exactly like this. Maybe it's a little bit different. Maybe it has different access points. But the big thing, what we want to do is make this a cozy, warm winter cabin for your birds. All right. And the ways that we're doing that is a couple things. I'm going to show you all the things that we need. But remember that whether you're providing a roosting box or leaving your nest boxes out for the winter use, know that any bird that uses a nest box in spring will use a nest box in winter for the purpose of winter roosting. Winter roosting, again, is just resting, a place to escape if weather turns bad, such as snow, a snowstorm, a really cold, wet storm. All those things cause birds to seek shelter. So this could, in fact, be kind of like an Airbnb for your birds in a time where they're seeking shelter. So it's worth it to keep your birdhouses up if you can. All right, and this can go for almost any house out there. Of course, some of the more wooden ones, the more decorative ones, may need a little bit extra protection from winter elements. But these nice classic eco-tough houses are made out of recycled plastics. So this is made out of plastic milk jugs, and it can handle all weather. So it's a really great option if you're looking or in the market for a new birdhouse or a new winter retreat, right? So the first step in winterizing your birdhouse is to clean it all out. So if this was used for, say, spring and summer nesting, there might be nesting material up and in here, all right? And that's okay. Take the side panel, clean it out, pull out all that nesting material. This one also has a really cool top open area. So you can open up the top of it and the side. And really this one is more to look in on your nest and peep in how your birds are doing in there, how those nestlings are growing, how many eggs you have. That's kind of cool. But the idea is to open it up and clean out all that nesting material. Then you're going to scrub and clean the house. And that's including inside, outside, all the parts, cleaning out as much as you can on the inside. All right, that is step number 1. Once it is completely dry, there are a couple things we're going to use. One is our nesting material. You guys might have some nesting balls from during the spring or summer. Maybe you even have some Hummer helper like this. Both of these are great options to use for winterizing your house. Okay, another one that you're going to want is some wood chips. These are natural pine wood chips. This can be used for nesting. For example, woodpeckers and some other kinds of birds really like wood chips in the bottom of their nesting cavity. So this is a great option to pour in there if you're utilizing a box or a nest cavity box for particular birds. But for the case of this is going to be the bottom of our nest box. So I'm going to show you how to do it right here, okay? So first step is we are going to take this box after it's completely cleaned, and we are going to take some wood shavings and we're going to place it on the bottom of our birdhouse. Now you see there are some little vent holes on the bottom, and essentially that wood shavings is kind of protecting the box from these ventilation ports down here, because it's not summer or spring and we don't have warm weather in the winter. We're trying to make this as cozy and warm as possible. So those wood chips are kind of insulating the inside here. It's also going to kind of cover these holes, which will help insulate the box from that cold weather coming in from the bottom. All right, so I'm going to open up my nest box here. Now this one's nice because it has this top opening part, but if it didn't and it had a side compartment, or perhaps you have one that cleans out from the bottom or from the back, that's okay too. Wherever your opening is to clean it out, that's where you're going to place it in. So if it's on the bottom, perhaps we're putting it in upside down, and then you're going to turn it over and everything will fall to the bottom. That's good, okay? But essentially we're taking our wood chips. I'm going to take a couple little handfuls, and you're going to do a small layer, thin kind of layer on the bottom of that house. So I'm just going to take a couple handfuls and put it in the bottom. We're going to close this side so I can open it from the bottom and see how it's going. Oh yeah, we need a little bit more. Oh yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to try to turn it so you can see it. Oh, see that? See, it's just a little layer. It's kind of closing off. Oh, I'm sure you can see it kind of falling down, but it's covering these bottom holes, and it's kind of insulating it a bit. It kind of makes it a nice little nesting, not nesting, but a nice little resting area for your birds to kind of be insulated on the floor level. All right. The next part is that we are going to stuff the top part of these ventilation. Usually there's top ventilation on your bird houses. It can sometimes be at the peaks of the houses, but in this birdhouse specifically, it's right here. You see that long kind of dark area right here? That is the vent hole. And there's one on this side as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to use nesting material from our nesting ball, but you could certainly use Hummer helper if that's what you have on hand. I'm going to use that nesting ball, and I opened it up so I can have easy access to the material inside. And what we're doing is we're taking this material and essentially stuffing it to close off the access from this vent. So I'm just going to take some, gotta kind of break it up a little bit more to get it in there. And we're shoving that in there to kind of block out the ventilation holes right there. Again, the ventilation holes are really meant for summer and spring. When we have really warm weather, we don't want to cook the chicks inside. We want to make it nice and cool for them if it does get hot. But in winter, we're not in nesting season. There's no babies hanging out in here. There's no nesting making. This is a winter roost. This is now going to be a place for birds to seek shelter. So you want to make sure it's the warmest it can be, the best winterizing area. So again, I'm taking a little bit more of this. Now this one is a little bit more tricky because of this, how it opens here, but we still can do it just fine. Take this, I'm going to push my lid down, and again, I'm just stuffing it in the top there. See how that looks? Now my sides of those ventilations are closed and contained. Now our birdhouse is ready to, yep, just enough to cover the bottom, Valerie. That's exactly it. It's just, you don't need to put a whole bunch in there, depending on how fine your chips are. Like some of the bottom parts of this bag are pretty fine. You may need a little bit more, but just enough to cover the bottom. It's just meant to essentially cover these holes that are on the bottom of your house, or to just add extra insulation. If your house does not have the insulation on the bottom, these little, don't have the ventilation on the bottom, it's less needed. But it still makes a nice cozy retreat inside, let me tell you. So I highly recommend. And by doing this, you're really going to help your birds survive and thrive this winter. So do the prep now so you don't have to do it when it's cold, and it's ready when they need it. Now, a couple things. Stop by Wild Birds Unlimited, because not only can you take advantage of this stuff, all this good goodies like the wood chips, the nesting material, all of that is here, but you know it's also completely safe. So some things I would avoid when it comes to wood chips is I would not recommend fine sawdust, aromatic cedar, anything that's kind of pre-scented, anything that's treated. So you want something untreated, something completely natural. Otherwise, it can be potentially harmful to your birds. So be sure that you're coming in for something more natural, all right? Look for natural nesting material as well, all right? So just know that that's a great way to winterize for winter. Winterize your houses. Get the birds ready. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, too, because it's happening tomorrow, is I know we just talked about cleaning and all the cleaning supplies that you need. Here at the store tomorrow, in store only. Well, actually, I think it's online, too. I'm going to take that back. It's in store and online. Is tomorrow only is our cleaning supplies sale. So whether it's those big, long brushes, or actually, I'm just going to move this over so you can kind of see it. But we have a whole bin here of all sorts of cleaning supplies from Feeder Fresh, because I highly recommend Feeder Fresh when it comes to keeping your feeders clean. So not only will Feeder Fresh keep the seed dry, and if you have any moisture issues in your feeder, this is going to soak up that moisture, but it really does keep your feeder clean. I hope you can see that image there. It's when you don't use Feeder Fresh, you have a lot more chance of your feeder getting dirty or wet and moldy. With Feeder Fresh, it keeps it clean and keeps your feeder healthy for your birds. It comes in a couple different sizes. Of course, we have all the feeder brushes that you could need, including our bird bath brushes are 10% off. We also have the copper discs on sale for 10% off. These are great in your bird baths. They help keep algae and bacteria at bay. And then we have the seed hole digester, because this one's great because it actually hooks up to your hose. It works really great, but we're cleaning underneath the feeder, because before long we're going to have that S word, and it's going to cover the ground, and we want to make sure that it's prepped and ready for any of that winter weather that may come our way. That seed hole digester dissolves to the seed and any droppings and neutralizes the area from any of the bacteria or things that wild birds and animals can bring along with bird feeding. So it makes a great way to clean up underneath the feeders. So again, take advantage of cleaning supplies available at 10% off tomorrow only during our bird feeder cleaning event, in store or online, all right? So you guys, if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments. Again, if you are watching this as a replay, you're more than welcome to put in a question. We'd love to hear from you. I always go back and read all your comments and like to I'll respond to you. I promise. But the big thing is we want to make sure we're here and we're helping you with whatever you need to make your hobby the best it can be and for you to enjoy it the most with your birds. All right, well, we'll see you tomorrow for our feeder cleaning event. I'll be here. Don't forget to stop by and bring your feeders in and get them scrubbed up with us. And take advantage of bird food sale while it's on for October. And we'll see you next Friday during our Friday Live around 5:30 p.m. All right, guys, you have a great weekend, and we'll see you then. Bye now.